Oh hi, thanks for watching my video. Over the years that The Sims has been around, there have been various characters introduced throughout the game in the franchise. A little while ago I made a video highlighting the top 10 most iconic families in the Sims franchise. In my opinion, obviously. And today I thought we'd take a bit more of a sinister turn and count down the top 10 villains in the Sims franchise. I have made individual videos on most of these characters, so I'll try not to repeat myself too much. I'd love to know if you agree with my picks, so be sure to let me know in the comments. But for now, let's begin. Number 1. Judith Ward. Starting off fairly light with Judith Ward, not necessarily a villain, but definitely an unsavoury character. Judith is a global superstar who was introduced in the Get Famous expansion pack. She has a glow around her, signifying her elite status, and walks with her nose in the air, looking down on us peasants. She has a habit of popping up everywhere, especially community lots. Don't take her presence as an invitation to say hello though. In most cases, she will not want to talk to Sims that aren't also famous. Every nugget of information we get on her further cements the narrative that she's just out for herself. She has an atrocious reputation, and her bio states that she is well known to step on the little people and throw anyone under the bus if it means she can get the role she wants. And she's played every role out there, from comedies to dramas. Judith has been married several times, but dipped out of each marriage when things started slowing down. Her partners wanted to settle down, but Judith wanted to live in the fast lane, so they had to go. So Judith makes the list because of her selfishness and greed. Number 2. The Pleasant Parents. Daniel and Mary Sue are the parents of Angela and Lilith Pleasant. They were first introduced in The Sims 2, and there are 2 reasons why they make the list. The first is more to do with how they treat each other, and the second is about how they treat their twins. So Daniel and Mary Sue are married to each other, but they don't have the best relationship. They aren't even in love when they're introduced in the game. Mary Sue is so preoccupied with her job that she rarely makes time for Daniel, and a recent memory of his shows that she rejected him for Woohoo. Daniel is probably the worst out of the 2 though, because by the time you start playing as the family, he is already having an affair with the maid Kaylin Lanarak. And the first thing he wants to do is invite her over for a smooch session as soon as his wife goes to work. So as a couple, they don't have the best relationship, but what I think makes them fall under the category of villains is the way they treat Lilith and Angela. When you look at the twins, you can see that they're clearly quite opposite to each other. Angela is generally a good kid with good grades and wears colourful clothing, whereas Lilith is more of a rebel. She gets in trouble and she rocks more of a gothic aesthetic. The 2 don't get on too well and fight each other quite a lot. But Lilith and Angela didn't just turn out this way by coincidence. Daniel and Mary Sue raised them completely differently. You can see from their memories that Angela was the favoured child, growing up well through every life stage, unlike Lilith, who grew up badly. Angela has a better relationship with her parents than Lilith does, and there's even a family photo of Angela celebrating her birthday, and Lilith just sat in a room by herself, even though they're twins, so it would have been Lilith's birthday too. I wonder whether Daniel and Mary Sue stayed together after The Sims 2. Maybe we'll find out one day. Number 3. The Calientes. So the Calientes sisters make the list because of the Sims 2 storyline. I've spoken about them a few times before, so I won't get too in depth here, but the gist of it is, they turn up in Pleasant View just after Belagoth disappeared, and the game heavily implies that her disappearance has something to do with them. Dina Caliente leaves no time to grieve before swooning in and making a move on the newly single Mortimer Goth, who she's only interested in because of his money, and they're both having an affair with Don Lothario, the fiancé of Cassandra Goth. Speaking of Don Lothario, he gets the next spot on this list as well. When it comes to Bella's disappearance, Don was reportedly the last person to see her, and it's implied that he may have worked with the Caliente sisters to have her taken away, but this isn't actually proven, so it could be that Don and the Calientes have nothing to do with it and it's all just a coincidence. However, the reason why he ranks higher on the villain list than the Calientes is because of the way he treats Cassandra Goth. Poor Cassandra Goth is in love with Don and the pair are due to get married soon. She has no idea that he's being unfaithful. Don is actually romantically involved with both Caliente sisters and the maid Kaylin Lanarak behind Cassandra's back, making him quite a villain in my opinion. Next up, Vladislaus Stroud, another character that was introduced in The Sims 4. Despite being a bloodthirsty creep, Vlad seems to have captured the hearts of many players. He founded the creepy town of Forgotten Hollow and spends his free time playing haunting music on the pipe organ. The reason why he makes the list is because he always turns up at unsuspecting Sims' houses with the intention of putting them in a trance and drinking their plasma without their permission. Next on the list is Consort Cap. Consort lives in Veronaville and his entire family has some serious beef with the Monty household. The family feud started because of something that happened between Consort and Patricio Monty, and it seems that Consort is a bit of a backstabber. The pair used to be business partners and best friends, but Consort got a bit too big for his boots and did a few shitty things. For one, he stole Patricio's girlfriend Contessa, who he subsequently married. Also, the business partner thing was pretty short-lived, because when the money started coming in, Patricio was suddenly made unemployed, and Consort somehow reaped the benefits of their business. The game suggests it was a business deal gone wrong, and there are a few pieces of information that suggest that Consort screwed Patricio over. So, ruining his best friend's financial and romantic life is the reason why Consort has a spot on the villains list. Next up, Nick and Vita Alto. Again, this couple I've spoken about quite a lot recently, so I won't go into too much detail, but the gist of it is they're both powerful Sims with less than ideal traits. One is a top dog in business with the mean trait, and the other is a politician with the evil trait. They're both manipulative, and they both seem dead set on dividing the town of Sunset Valley. Then we have Malcolm Landgrab. Where do we start with this guy? I mean, really? To be honest, it's more so because of the earlier games that Malcolm gets a spot on the list. But even in every game, he doesn't get painted as a particularly empathetic character. His family owns a lot of real estate, he was born into a lot of wealth, and so he grows up to be quite a selfish business guy who's driven by money and greed. I mainly put him on here because of his antics in the busting out games. He buys all of the Sims' homes and then threatens to evict the Sims when they can't afford his high rent fees. Now we're down to the bottom two. So the next on the list is the Beaker family. Loki and Cersei Beaker are some pretty shady characters. They are both fascinated with science, and it would be fair to say they take it a bit too far. A Sim called Nervous Subject lives with them after he was taken away from his mother, and sadly it seems he still didn't end up in an ideal situation. The Beaker family just use him to run tests for the sake of science. They make Nervous live in a cell and use machines to run various experiments on him. As a result of being tested on so frequently, Nervous developed multiple twitches and blinks, which is made even sadder by the fact that his wants and fears show that all he wants is to be shown love and find a connection. And finally, we have the biggest villain of all, Olive Specter. So, Olive Specter is a bit of an enigma. There are quite a few accusations thrown around about her, and although nothing has been officially confirmed, the pieces do fit together quite convincingly. Similarly to the Goths, Olive has a graveyard in her garden, and it's pretty full. At first glance, it seems like she's had it pretty hard and has suffered a lot of loss in her life. However, there are a few too many similarities in death types. It seems that everyone that had ever wronged Olive ends up here in the graveyard. and when she suffers a traumatic event, she also seems to take it out on many unsuspecting Sims. Her parents, her sister, her ex-husbands and a few service Sims have ended up losing their lives on Olive's lot. Most deaths were caused by either fire or starvation. She also had a son with the Grim Reaper, called Never Subject, who ended up at the Beaker household because he was taken away from Olive due to neglect. Whilst nothing has been officially confirmed, it does look like she is perhaps keen on just a little bit of murder. And that is why she makes the top spot in terms of villains in the Sims franchise. And there is my top 10 villains in the Sims. Do you agree with my picks? Who would you have put at number 1? I'd love to know in the comments. That's it from me though. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, you know I love it when you do that. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.